Good morning. So, since this is my parents' birth month, I have decided that I would just make it as my first episode, and I'm gonna talk about their parenting, how I view it, and how it feels like growing up, and how I see it now as an adult. So, I think a lot of people know that I grew up with such an strict parents. A very strict ones, if I must say. And growing up, I question a lot why can't I just be like everybody else's? Like everyone around me is free to go and do whatever they want, wherever they want. And I wasn't most of the time, if not all the time. And every time that there are events in school, like Girl Scouts like that, kailangan ipahabilin pa din ako, diba? And then, sometimes, mainggit doon sa mga kaedaran ko. Kasi bakit sila allowed? Bakit ako hindi? And of course, I was young back then. I was a child. I was a young girl. I didn't have this maturity back then. So of course, a lot of times, hindi ko din maintindihan bakit ganoon, diba? And of course, nagtatanim ka ng sama ng loob. And I think at some point, they became a villain in my life. I think most of parents naman, diba? Kasi when we are young, we're a little bit of rebellious. Because nga, ang dami nga nating hindi naiintindihan around us. And then, I came here. I started to work abroad. The first month, I was bawling my eyes out. It was so freaking hard. And I was so sorry towards my parents. Kasi ang hirap magtrabaho sa ibang bansa. Pagod ka na sa work, pag-uwi mo magluluto ka pa, maglilinis ka pa, maglalaba ka pa, mamalansya ka pa. And I was so guilty towards my parents. Kasi when I was working in the Philippines, yun lang naman yung buhay ko. Papasok lang sa work. Pag-uwi, hihilata, kakain, magsa-cellphone, magbabasa ng libro. Kasi may ready na food. Tapos, may naglilinis sa kwarto, may namamalansya, may naglalaban ng mga damit ko. At hindi rin ako ang naghuhugas ng pinggan. So, feeling princess yarn, diba? Tapos pagdating mo sa ibang bansa, ikaw lahat. And I started appreciating everything that my parents did for us, of how comfortably I lived. But there was a time again that I was talking about our experiences in life with my colleagues, and they were sharing a lot. And I kind of started pitying myself because it seemed like they had a lot of fun and I didn't. Because, again, I wasn't allowed nga. But came 2022, I started my healing journey. Because I couldn't live like that anymore. I can't be depressed every day. I can't be feeling sorry every day towards myself. So I started that journey to forgive myself and to forgive everything that happened to me. And one time, there was a question that stunned me. Yes, your parents were strict. Yes, you missed a lot of fun during your younger days. But, napasama ka ba? Yes, that was the most important question of all. Napasama ka ba? And again, I was so thankful that they were my parents, because their mean was a little extra strict and protective, but they did that out of love. They did that dahil ayaw din naman nila akong mapasama sa buhay. And I was so thankful for that. And then while realizing everything, naisip ko na it was my parents' first time as a parent too. They didn't know what to do also. They didn't have the manual, but they did their best. They tried every day to give us the best life that they could possibly give us. And I was thankful for that. And you kids, I understand that you have a lot of questions why your parents are like that. And I do understand that you wouldn't understand it now. But even though you don't understand things, try to ask them. Try. And if you couldn't, try to be a little more understanding that this is your parents' first time too as a parent. Then there's another thing. Since I was always in my room before, because I wasn't allowed to go out too much, it turns out that I have a shy and awkward personality. So most of the time, I have a difficulty adjusting towards the people around me. And my view of the world was too ideal. It was from the books lang that I read. So a lot of times I didn't know how to deal with it firsthand. And while dealing with a lot of people around me, it's always the ideal ways. Like, ito yung tama. So dapat ito lang yung masunod. There are no other ways. This is what is morally right. This is what is socially acceptable. So do this. And I might say that I really had such a tight and upright upbringing. So nahirapan ako makipag-deal sa mga tao around me. And a lot of times I ended up disappointed a lot of times. So nahihirapan ako makipag-friends. Nahihirapan ako to maintain connections. Because if there's one thing that didn't sit well with me, I felt like ayoko na. And because of how I was raised, my walls were always so high. I was always so guarded. Like, I wouldn't allow the world to taint me. I don't want to be jaded. Because I know my core, I know my value, I know my principles, and I have to stick with that. And a lot of times, trinay ko siyang baliin. And hindi ko siya kaya, nahihirapan ako kasi palagi akong masuka-suka. And I don't know if it's like a downside or a good side, because it's just so hard to maintain that connection with the people around you. And you always felt different. You always felt like you don't belong. And before, I saw it in a bad way, but now I'm really thankful that my parents instilled everything that they have instilled in us. Because if not, I would just be that person na sumasabay lang sa agos ng mundo, ng buhay. And I wouldn't know how to navigate my way. So I'm glad for their parenting style.